Welcome, dear Planeswalkers. It's been a while, huh? Well, before I get back into bigger projects, such as my needlessly long essay about snow in Magic, I'd like to welcome you all back with another little custom card showcase. As you may know, designing custom cards is kind of my biggest deal in the Magic community, and on this channel, as well as on my Instagram, I like to present the results of my work for further discussion. So now, for a bit of a preamble, I really liked Kaldheim. The set felt fresh and exciting, all the more for a mythology-loving nerd like me. It brought some fun characters, really pretty visuals, some simple yet effective storytelling with the 10 realms around a world tree, and of course, 2 mechanics. Of these, I'm sorry boast, Foretell definitely stands out, and has really caught my attention since its release. Foretell is a mechanic primarily tied to the white-blue realm of Istvel, but also importantly appears on many cards of other colors. It represents the nature of prophecies and the notion of a predetermined destiny, which often plays a big role in myths. Now, I love white-blue Foretell, I own a Runnar deck for that matter, but it has also always stood out to me that there are several notable cards outside this color pair that use Foretell and don't have a good home. May I present to you Varhilla the Bad Omen, my custom card for today. She is a 1/3 human warlock for 1 generic, a black and a green, that can tap to add 2 colorless. However, this mana cannot be spent to cast spells from your hand. Huh, weird. Let's read the rest. Whenever you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, you gain 2 life. If the amount of mana spent to cast that spell was less than that spell's mana value, each opponent also loses 2 life. In her flavor text, she states, "Death is inevitable. Life is not." Take from that what you will. Also, look at this sweet ultra I made of her. That art by Siddhar Chaturvedi is phenomenal. I mean, so is the original one by Ilya Vatutin. There are some talented artists out there. Anyways, I think by now it's pretty obvious what you can do with the strange restricted mana Varhilla gives you. There's actually a lot. For one, you can do exactly what she wants you to do, spend the mana to cast spells from weird places like your graveyard, with mechanics such as Flashback, Escape, or Aftermath. The second route is that she can pay for your setup costs, such as Foretell, which she covers completely with the 2 mana, or the recent plot. This is also the preferable route, because it then enables the second part of her ability. So, how did this card come to exist? I wanted something that interacted with the other Foretell cards, but since there are not that many of them in general, let alone in these colors, I thought about dissecting the mechanic and working around that, similarly to what Ranar did. The 2 things defining Foretell are: 1. It allows you to cast spells from somewhere else than your hand, notably the Exile Zone, and 2. It makes the Foretold spells cheaper to cast. There are other mechanics that fall under either of these criteria, so I split Varhilla's payoff to allow for more flexibility. Foretell is still the optimal choice here, but there are far more options you have for building the deck. Let's finally talk about some cards that fit right in here, starting with Battle Mammoth. This was probably the card that inspired me. It's just perfect. Foretell now, get a big value elephant later. The other Mythic Foretell card is Haunting Voyage, which funnily enough does not cost less after you foretell it, and also is a Kindred payoff, which can definitely be useful, but it's debatable how often this is going to be returning 3 or more creatures in this deck. Next up, Rise of the Dreadmorn, which is the perfect answer to a board wipe here, and the Foretold Soldier from Doctor Who, which can actually trigger Varhilla repeatedly. Neat, that's what I call value. And Green Slime from Baldur's Gate is a pretty good piece of utility. For the uncommons, there's the quite useful Tergrid's Shadow, and our prime removal, Poison the Cup. Brutal card, probably not as effective in Commander, but it's still good. Feel free to include any of the comments as well for proper jank synergy. One card I purposely left for later is one that is no doubt this deck's MVP, and the second card that inspired me. And that's of course Dream Devourer. This card is pure fun. With the mana Varhilla gives you, you can stash your whole hand away and later dump all your cards onto the table with sales like it's Black Friday, draining everyone a good amount in the process. And you get a gnarly looking demon that is not unlikely to become a 6/3 or something like that. Love this guy, he deserves a home in Commander. He already has a home in Prosper and Be'lakor? Screw them, I want my Kaldheim Foretell Commander. On the topic of cards that can be cast from exile but cheaper, go ahead and add any of the plot cards that you happen to like. Be aware that if that includes Railway Brawler, I may not want to talk to you. Yes, it's good, it's a dumb green beatdown rhino, what do you expect, but where's the jank in that? Moving on, Pillage the Bog, Pitiless Carnage, Unscrupulous Contractor, and surprisingly Rise of the Varmints might be good inclusions here. Man, those are some malicious card names. The last Exile Now Cast Later mechanic is Suspend, and again, pick your favorites. For me, Charnel Serenade, while slow, is a nice way to get repeated value in a longer game. Same with Suspended Sentence and Venture Forth. Keep in mind though, that the suspend cards without a mana cost won't meet Varhilla's second condition, because 0 is not lower than 0. For spells cast from your graveyard, there are many options, so I'll let you choose. Just don't forget to add an adequate amount of self-mill. I'm not here to teach you how to do that. For another fun option, consider playing cards from the top of your library too. Options including Vizier of the Menagerie, Ogre of Autumn, or Into the Pit if you're feeling bold. The fun part is adding any cost reducer, thus enabling Varhilla's second condition. But you know where you don't need to jump through any hoops? That's right, Bolas's Citadel. Thanks to the incident life gain from Varhilla, there's now a solid likelihood that you won't even die. The same cannot be said for your opponents. Speaking of incidental life gain, that's also something you can take into consideration. Accomplished Alchemist can potentially make your explosive turns even more explosive. Essence Pulse is a solid board wipe option, or you can just put down a Trudge Garden and pay the 2 mana with Varhilla each time. What do I know? Since this is getting on the longer side, let me cut myself off here. As you see, this commander allows for a variety of decks to be built around her, which was my intent. When designing around niche mechanics, it's important to not make the design parasitic, while still guiding the player towards the theme you want. But now I pass the turn to you guys. Let's see how you would build this deck, some good cards that I missed, and your general thoughts on this design. Thank you for watching. And yeah, there you have it. After like 10 months, I decided to try and get back into making these magic videos. I wanted to start with something a bit smaller, but I still hope you liked it. This card has a weird history behind it. It went through like 3 different stages. One of them is even, or I think both of them may be posted on my Instagram, so some people may remember that card. But I changed it for this video because I still wasn't satisfied with the previous version. The idea was always similar, but I kind of tweaked it around a little bit and tried to make it like focused on the thing I wanted, which was black-green Foretell, but I didn't want to like outright say that this is a black-green Foretell commander and give players more options to play around with which I showcased in the video. So I hope I succeeded there. Hope you like the card, hope you like the video, and there are probably more to come. Who knows at this point? I have a lot of thoughts I would like to get into videos, such as I mentioned, the snow video. That's pretty interesting in my opinion. Other design dissections of the most popular commanders, which I have done previously, and probably many more. So if you stick around, and if I stick around, uh, this may actually go somewhere. In the meantime, thank you for watching, thank you for your attention, thank you for any comment, like, or share that you might give me, and that's really everything from me today. Goodbye.